What to do in case of a nuclear explosion. In fact, the opportunity of a nuclear assault everywhere has a tendency to zero, seeing that this sort of weapon is a device of mental deterrence, and anybody will lose if it's miles used. But simply in case, examine the way to get away from a nuclear explosion. Anyone within 800 meters of the source of the blast has a 90% chance of instant death, and anyone within 3,200 meters of him has a 50% chance of instant death. How to protect yourself from radiation after a nuclear explosion. It spreads very quickly. If you reach within 10 kilometers of the explosion, you can find shelter within minutes. Not to close your mouth, as the sound associated with a nuclear attack can rupture your eardrums. Unfortunately, such catastrophes are not spectacular special effects, but very real situations. There are a few things you should know to escape a nuclear explosion. But where to go after a nuclear explosion? The best option is to enter the basement or windowless room of a high-rise building. If you can't go underground, go up to the most isolated room on the 10th floor. But keep in mind that the subway option is the most preferred as it is suitable for longer stays. When you are dozens of miles from the site of a nuclear attack, your main concern is how to escape the radiation and fallout that followed the explosion, which can last for weeks. Even if you live a kilometer away, keep an eye out for news about where this current is mainly headed. You'll need to find shelter underground. Where do nuclear explosions occur? The most likely targets for nuclear attacks are government buildings, military bases, large retail stores, power plants and ports. If you are lucky enough to get a message that a strike is imminent, it is advisable to stay away from such places. Also, try to avoid highways to avoid the effects of nuclear explosions. During disasters, highways are jammed and filled with people trying to leave the city. How to save your skin after a nuclear explosion. Remember that traces of radioactive fallout are bound to remain on your clothes and skin. So another important task is to protect yourself from radiation after a nuclear explosion. Take off your clothes and, if possible, wash them. We recommend that you wrap your clothing in a plastic bag and keep it as far away from people and animals as possible. If you have the chance to shower, don't use a washcloth. Use soap and shampoo whenever possible. It is also recommended to avoid contact with water after showering. Radiation penetrates groundwater gradually. How long will you sit in a shelter after a nuclear explosion? Unfortunately, there is no way to know in advance how long you will have to stay in the shelter after escaping a nuclear detonation. Experts say it can take days or weeks for the radiation to drop sufficiently. Listen to the radio or wait for information on the internet. It is said that it is possible to walk the streets and that it is not fatal. Can you eat radioactive food? In many apocalyptic movies, heroes are seen robbing grocery stores. In fact, food like water is exposed to radiation. By the way, the temptation to put non-food items in your pocket is not that great. Where to hide from a nuclear explosion? If you live in a city, find out where your local bunkers are. Calculate how long it will take to reach this point to protect yourself from a nuclear explosion. You can find information about hiding places on the internet. It's a good idea to take a closer look at nearby buildings so you don't get confused and quickly make a plan of action in the event of a real threat. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and be with Incredible World.